Thank you for coming. I am well. I hope you are well also. And I hope your meeting is short and useful. So today is going to be the earth sign readings. I am going to be using hi Kayla. Kayla's lovely. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. I'm going to be using the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot this week. And over on the members side of the channel, I'll be doing crystal scrying with this chunk of quartz. So to get started this week, first of all, I have an eyelash on my face. Oh my gosh. This is an ASMR video. You guys are supposed to pluck that eyelash off of my face. Just kidding. So, to clear the space this time, oh, thank you, Kayla. I enjoy using it. There's like little rainbows inside of it. I'm going to be using one of these obsidian shards as a knife. And I'm going to kind of scrape and cut all the negative energies off. My printer just woke up from a nap, I guess. My printer needs its beauty sleep. So I'm just going to scrape gently with this piece of obsidian and get around all of the edges, earth signs. Gosh, sorry about that. I hit the microphone. All right. That's one thing I hate about lives, is that if I hit the microphone, then it's just there into perpetuity. So I try not to do that very often. There we go. And just get a little bit around the edges there. Okay. I haven't done an in-depth study about storing my crystals in plastic bags, but that's next on my list. So we're going to start with the earth sign of Taurus. And Taurus, if you would like, go ahead and set your intention and allow any thoughts or feelings or impressions that you have about that intention and that situation to rise up to the forefront of your mind. And just gently wait there while I shuffle the cards. And we will get into it shortly. if any of these things are causing you discomfort or anxiety, sometimes you might see little thoughts fleet across my face. I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. As you inhale, draw in the divine white light of Source, or divine Source energy in whatever form you envision. You could even envision like little Pikachus running into your open mouth. Allow that energy then to infiltrate every molecule and cell of your body. And then, as you exhale, just allow any of that energy that is no longer serving you to be released with that breath. It will return to Source, and it will be transmuted. So I have tea today, which means that I don't have room to put down my tarot cards. I'm just kidding around. Okay. So I'll write down the Taurus timestamp. Right on schedule. I see mobility. I see some hypothetical things. Lots of wands in your reading this week, Taurus. Lots and lots of wands. And a couple of wand court cards. And a card that I associate with you showing up in your reading this week as well. So let's see what's happening for you, Taurus. Taurus, here in the past, we have the 10 of Cups, and it's showing up in the upright. So that is a wish fulfillment of sorts, emotional satiety. So it's not the 9 of Cups, it's the 10 of Cups. It's a step beyond that wish fulfillment. Your wishes have been fulfilled, and we're setting up for the next emotional cycle to come through. So this can be taking a relationship to the next level. It can be starting a family. It could be, reconciling with family members that you might be, you might not have been on good terms with. That might get resolved. And that card is upright. So that influence is going to be continuing into the current situation here with the significator. And here in the place of the significator, we have the 8 of Swords in the reverse. So if you had felt trapped by a situation, you are freeing yourself, or you are being freed from that feeling of being trapped. Crossing this, we have a very good card crossing that 8 of Swords reversed, which is the Fool. So we have the beginning of the new cycle coming in. We have the ending of this cycle with the 10 of Cups. So this is a happy ending. And now we're moving into a brand new cycle with the Fool card, stepping forward with no preconceived notions. Tabula rasa, starting with a blank slate. The little white dog on that card also represents loyal companionship. People who want you to be successful and who are going to warn you about things that might be in your path. So down here in the Imam Sili, the Imam Sili is the foundations and origins upon which the destiny or the goal up here in the midheaven, that what that will be built upon, that foundation. Down here in the Imam Sili, we have the Two of Wands reversed. The Two of Wands is a card of planning, and it is a card of charting the course. Now, this card is showing up in the reverse here, and so that seems to me very much like you either feel like you don't have all the information you need to chart a course, or that you are not taking part in a planning process at this time. I personally, as a Virgo rising, and we'll be getting to that next, cannot imagine a situation where advanced planning doesn't improve the situation. But to each their own, you know? Sometimes we get stressed out. We feel like we don't have enough time. And as I mentioned, you have a lot of wands in your reading this week. So that has to do with action, and is an active element of fire. However, all but one of these wands, and we'll talk about it more as I go through the reading, but all but one of these wands is in the reverse. So, from your perspective, we have the Empress card. And the Empress, through her Venus association, is a card that I personally heavily associate with the sign of Taurus. Somebody who appreciates luxury, somebody who appreciates comfort. Now, one thing about the Empress is that she is the divine receptive energy. And so she is the vessel. You can see that she's possibly like 6 months pregnant. She's somebody who has things brought to her. She takes a passive role in this environment. And I think that for you, Taurus, if you are seeing yourself as the Empress at this time, that might be why you are not planning. Because you see yourself as being in a passive role. Whether you are a man, a woman, a non-binary person, maybe you have several genders up your sleeve. Who am I to judge? It's not for me to. So from an outside person's perspective, looking in, we have the Knight of Swords in the reverse. So here we have more reversed active energy. People around you, Taurus, could see that it's time for you to take action on something. Because in this particular case, the Knight of Swords is not going to be about that binary discernment. The Knight of Swords is going to be either needing to make a choice about something or needing to take a definitive action on something. And this would be a planned action. The Knight of Wands is kind of just any action. You need to just move. The Knight of Swords is more about having an intention and a premeditation behind that action. So if you are not going to take advantage of the opportunity that you have to plan, you could very well end up trapped again. But let's keep going. Let's keep looking at this reading because a lot of these cards are coming out reversed. Oh, Kayla, yes, I know that's true. I get along really well with Tauruses. I think it's because it's that fixed sign energy. I have a lot of fixed energy in my 3 major. So here in the future, Taurus, we do have the possibility, the potential here for victory. Man, the Six of Wands has been really popular this week. It has been coming out in a lot of readings, upright, reversed, sideways. So I think that people are really starting now to put things into motion for the future. And that potential exists here for you, Taurus. But you're going to have to put in some planning. Here in your hopes and fears. Well, now, before we get to your hopes and fears, I really want to address the mobility here. So literally, we're talking about making some kind of move, because this is a knight, so of course it has a horse on it. Horse, of course. Horse, of course. Horse, of course. But there's also a horse on that Six of Wands. So we're talking a lot about mobility. Whether this is moving your house, maybe you need to move house, maybe you need to get up and move around more. Maybe there's somewhere you need to physically go. Like maybe if you're applying for a loan or something, you need to go to the bank and look a person in the eye. Maybe like the paperwork won't be enough or something like that. Whatever it is you are setting up for victory, there is going to be mobility involved. And that is going to require for you to chart this course, to get out your map and start drawing lines, or open Google Maps. I am an avid Google Maps user. Google knows so much about all of the places that I have been, for better or for worse. So now we can talk about your hopes and fears. And here in your hopes and fears, we have the King of Wands. So you want to be seen as somebody who's creative, but also a strong leader. King of Wands, I associate heavily with Sagittarius energy, which would be mutable fire. So it's possible you have Sagittarius in your chart somewhere, even something like a Jupiter in Sagittarius, or maybe a Sagittarius moon. We just had that eclipse. King of Wands can also be like the other fire sign energies as well. This is in opposition. So look at this. Look at this, Taurus. So this is in opposition to where you have the Empress in your self-image right now, right? And remember I said that the Empress is the divine passive. She just expects things to come to her, to be brought to her. She delegates and has others do the work, and then reaps the rewards. And people are happy for her to do that because she is a good figurehead and possibly a good manager. But that's not the point. The point is that the King of Wands is another, not major arcana, but another incarnation of the divine active. We have active fire energy. The kings are air energy, so that's air of fire. It is fire stoked by oxygen. Now, these are kind of diametrically opposed for you, Taurus. Not that you can't have a good balance of both, but in this current situation, if you want to take this role, sitting back and being passive in this situation is not going to get you where you want to go. And that's really what is coming out here in the reading, like literally with all of the wands that are coming out in the reverse here. It's literally like lighting a fire under your behind, right? So let's look at the midheaven now. And this is going to be the result of this Two of Wands down here in the MMCLI. Now, this card is reversed, but it's not too late for you to put in the work that you need to do to turn that upright, right? And what we have in the midheaven is the Three of Wands. And this card is also reversed. And the Three of Wands is about the energies that you put out returning to you threefold. And literally, if you multiply the Two of Wands by the Three of Wands, you will get the Six of Wands. So it's all there. The final outcome for you, Taurus, really does kind of put a capstone on this reading. I don't think there's anything here that is terribly unclear or needs to be explained extra. We have the Page of Wands, and the Page of Wands is showing up in the reverse. So when I see the Page of Wands showing up reversed, this is kind of somebody who's very enthusiastic, but they don't follow through, or they're just very casual. It's kind of like one night stand energy, where there's a lot of passion in that big burst, and then they kind of just forget about how to interact with physical partners in a compassionate way, and just kind of like ghost. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're doing right now, Taurus, but this is also diametrically opposed to how others are seeing you at this time, that you need to make some action, and you're not doing so. And these are both active energy cards. Now, the Knight of Swords is going to be fire of air energy. So actually very similar to this King of Wands being air of fire, right? This is you having the opportunity to step into that role. And you have to decide if you're going to take it or not. And the way that you have been progressing, and there are all kinds of reasons for this. So one thing I will talk about before I close out your reading, Taurus, is that I understand that there are all kinds of reasons why you might act a certain way in these types of situations. A lot of it is fear-based. A lot of it can even have to do with past trauma. So I understand that, and I'm compassionate to that. However, in this particular situation, it's very clear to me that you have gotten out of this stuck place. And it is important for you to be able to move forward. So that is going to conclude the Taurus reading for this week. Taurus, thank you. Remember that after the Earth sign readings are over, I go over to the members side of the channel and I do some crystal scrying there. And if you are a channel member and you show up over there, I can do readings for you as part of your channel membership. I will also also do readings between the signs if you hit me with a super chat. But again, no pressure. Just letting you know that is out there. Your participation in the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. Alright, so next I'm going to move on to the sign of Virgo. Virgo. And Virgo, allow your intention and any thoughts surrounding that to rise up to the forefront of your mind and just wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. And if any of this is stressful to you, or any of the things going on in your life that you'd like to know more about is causing you discomfort or anguish, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for coming. It's really good to see you. I'm well. I hope that you're well also. You can inhale, and as you inhale, imagine divine energy entering your body and infiltrating every cell, every molecule of your body. And then as you exhale, just release. Release any of that energy back into the universe, and it will be transmuted. Great. So, yes, 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 finally. The 10, the Wheel of Fortune came out upright this time. It's been coming out reversed and driving me crazy. Okay. So, I'm going to drink some tea. Oh, thank you, Victoria. Did you have a question that you wanted me to answer before I go into the Virgo reading? I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you. And I love the little Sheba. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So let me write down the timestamp for Virgo. And we will get started. There's a lot going on here. Here in the past for you, Virgo, we have the Two of Swords. And this card is showing up in the upright. So this is a choice. It could be a choice between two very evenly matched paths, so to speak. We've got these calm waters in the background. We have land over here. But this figure is not going to be able to see any of that until they choose which one of these swords they're going to put down so they can remove that blindfold. This card being in the upright, there is the potential there that this choice is affecting the current situation. And here, in the current sphere of events, Virgo, we have despotic energy with the Emperor reversed. The Emperor is sometimes Aries energy. This would be Aries in its shadow. So somebody who's impatient, somebody who starts things and doesn't finish them, somebody who could be a figure of authority, could be giving you a hard time right now, Virgo. Potentially. This is crossed by this Five of Swords energy. So there's a lot of conflict going on. And it might not just be between you and this person. It might not even be between you and that person at all. There's several figures here on this card. Now, in this deck and in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is kind of like the standard, there is not violence depicted on this card. But it's important to remember that the Five of Swords is a very violent card. So where the Three of Swords is more about turmoil, it's more about like arguing and breakups and things like that. A lot of times your breakup is not going to get to this point. And just like the Five of Wands, there are several combatants. Like I mentioned, the Five of Swords is the same. So there could be one authority figure, and there's a lot of conflict with that authority figure, and it's not just with you, it's everybody is involved in it. There could also be a scramble for power going on. And that's why the Emperor is showing up in the reverse and crossed by the Five of Swords. This could be in a workplace. It could be in a family dynamic. There are several situations in which that might be the case. So just keep that in mind. Down here in the MMCLI, there is the Death card showing up in the upright. We do have quite a few, actually, major arcana cards in your reading this week, Virgo. There, I think, is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we have 5. Additionally, we have a 10 and we have an ace. So that is the closing of one cycle and potentially the beginning of a new one. And the Death card reflects that. Now, the Death card here is change and transformation, first and foremost, occurring in the current situation. There's not any kind of positive or negative attribution to the Death card. It's just a neutral statement. So whereas a card like the Ten of Swords, that has very negative connotations attached to it. And I'll talk about that card in just a moment. But the Death card, there's more potential for you to determine whether it is a good change or a bad change. And especially because, remember, we start off the reading with this Two of Swords, this choice that you've made in the past. From your perspective, Virgo, we have the Page of Swords. So not only is this reflective of the Five of Swords coming out here, that you are involved in this conflict somehow. You might not be driving the conflict, You might not even be particularly interested in the conflict, but you have been drawn into it. The page is taking up its sword. Now, the page is earth of air energy. So we're also taking all of these air qualities, so things like ideas, communication, and bringing them down into the physical plane and making them concrete. And so, along with that, the Page of Swords is seeking out information, is fact finding. You could be going back to school to get better skills, and then you can get out of that situation. That could be the change that's coming through. You could be gleaning information about that situation. The Page of Swords in the upright implies that the information you're getting is, you will be able to discern what information is factual and what information is not. When the Page of Swords is in the reverse, it means you're getting false news. So Virgo, from an outside perspective looking in, that's where we get this Ten of Swords, and it's in the reverse. Somebody could be seeing that they're not able to put an end to you. Or there could be an ending that needs to happen, and you're not involved in it, but you're kind of observing this ending happening. And it involves the people around you, but it doesn't involve you directly. And remember, the 2 times this, 2 times the 5 of Swords, we get this 10 of Swords. So here in the future, we have the potential for another choice. Because here in the past, we have this choice. Here in the future, we have the Lover's card, and it's in the reverse. So the potential is there for you to make a choice between the profane and the sacred, the burning bush representing communion with the higher power. And you will be judged by this angel, whatever thing you choose. The Lover's card can be a love relationship coming into your life, but where this is kind of like the start of a path, this is going to be like the next level, the next phase. I want to take a minute to talk about how the roads work in Atlanta. So I think most of you know that I grew up and spent most of my life there. And the roads were actually, they were built around the railroad, but they were also built around the Greek native foot trails, the footpaths. So you will come to a fork, and then the road forks off of that again, and then it forks off of that again. More like the way that water runs than like a grid. There's really not much of a grid except for like right in downtown. And that's kind of how I see this progression for you, Virgo, is that we started out with one binary choice, and we're moving on to the next level of that binary choice. Now, you might not even see this choice coming in for you yet, because the card is reversed, which means it is potential, and it might not be fully set up yet. or it could be something that you do not foresee. So here in your hopes and fears, we have the Ace of Wands. You're hoping that you will have the power, the fortitude. We don't have the Strength card here. What we have is the creative elemental energy of fire. This is potency. And it's a very active potency. So related to the active reproductive force and not the passive reproductive force. I don't think that I need to explain what that means. But you're hoping that you will have that. You're hoping maybe that it comes in with the information that you're getting here. And you're hoping that it will lead to a new beginning. That's what the aces are all about, a new creative beginning. Here in the midheaven, finally, we have this card coming out in the upright. And it is the Wheel of Fortune. This is all of the fixed signs here on this card. It's very much like the World card, in that the continuity of the cyclical nature of things is fixed. The roller coaster is always going to follow the same track. It might seem different each time depending on how you're feeling, how much you've had to eat, whether you've had enough sleep, what you've been drinking, etc. Right? But cycles are continuous, and that is why the fixed signs show up here. And in fact, the Wheel of Fortune has a lot of similarities to the Death card, but the implication overall of the Wheel of Fortune in the upright is overwhelmingly positive. It shows that fortune is turning in your favor. And as a mutable sign, you will also be able to tap into a lot of these changes that are coming through. There is a lot of fixed sign energy here with that, which you may have a lot of fixed sign energy in your chart. I'm trying not to read this too heavily for myself as a Virgo rising, but I have to say that this week's reading is really resonating with me. So I hope this isn't just a televised self-read. I hope that the rest of you are relating to it as well. So the final outcome card for you this week, Virgo, is the Magician card. And this card is in the reverse. And I'm really getting the message that you've manifested enough. Whatever this is going on, I feel like it doesn't have very much to do with you at all and would have happened anyway. And you are meant to be more of a bystander in this situation and not as much of an active participant. So that is going to conclude the Virgo reading for this week. Thank you for joining me. I greatly appreciate those of you who tune in for the live stream and those of you who watch later. Remember that the timestamps will always be down in the description after the live stream is concluded. I will be going after the Capricorn reading over to the members side of the channel to do some crystal scrying with this beautiful chunk of quartz crystal. If that interests you, you're cordially invited. But your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. So now I'm going to move on to the sign of Capricorn. Sun, moon, rising. Pluto's in Capricorn right now. The moon was in Capricorn earlier today, but now it is in Aquarius. Excuse me. I am drinking this tea. So, Capricorn, if you would like to allow your intention and the thoughts surrounding it to gently rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there while I shuffle the cards. And if there's anything about these energies that are making you uncomfortable or causing you any kind of mental anguish or even physical discomfort, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. As you inhale, just envision divine source energy entering your body. You can imagine it as a white light. You can envision like Kirby eating a bunch of trees and absorbing them, or those little spooky guys in the hoods. And then allow that energy to infiltrate every cell, every molecule of your form. And that's going to push all of that negative energy out where it can be released. And you're just going to release it gently with your breath. And it will return to source, and it will be transmuted. All right, Capricorn, let's go. It sure is. Interesting. Okay. This reminds me of one of the readings from yesterday. Yesterday was air signs. It might have been Libra's reading. This is very similar to one of the other readings. So if you remember which one, please do let me know down in the comments. Oh, that's really cool, Jason. Well, you do have every sign in your chart somewhere because of the 12 houses. So sometimes, depending on which sign, which house falls upon, you can look at like what's in your 4th house and see what the situation might have to do with like home and family. And especially with general readings, I try to leave it open-ended enough that people are able to apply the scenarios and the information to different things going on in their life. And sometimes you'll watch a random reading and it'll resonate and it's just what you need to hear. I just like doing the astrological signs because it gives it a little more structure. So let me write down a timestamp for Capricorn. Yeah, as I was saying, I think I want to say this after the timestamp, just to reiterate, that one of the other signs, and it might have been Libra, had a very similar reading. So make sure to watch that if you have those energies in your chart, or if this reading resonates with you and you'd like to know more. So here in the past, Capricorn, we have the Hierophant card in the reverse. And this card has to do with somebody who's an intermediary between the general public and a higher power, possibly. This would be somebody who interacts with the public on a regular basis, perhaps. The Hierophant card can also represent the status quo, and it can represent traditional institutions like marriage. So this being in the reverse, in the past, perhaps there was a time in your life where you conformed more to social norms. This could represent a past marriage that has ended. Or this can represent that you used to fulfill this role for others as a spiritual leader, and you are not doing that right now for whatever reason. Here in the current situation, we have a big chunk of money coming in for you, Capricorn, with this Knight of Pentacles. That is fire of earth energy. So that money is blazing in towards you. And it's coming in because there is closure to a cycle. There's a completion. So remember in the Virgo reading, I was saying that the World card is very similar to the Wheel of Fortune. We've got the 4 fixed signs here. The World card is establishment. It is closure. It is the ending and resolution of cycles. And thus would be associated with fixed sign energy. So there could be a completion of a project and you're getting paid out at the end of that. There could be the end of a job and you're getting like a severance package that's going to be nice. It could be that you are closing out a financial account and pulling all your money out, and it ends up being much more than you had expected to get out of this. So down here in the Imam Silai, we have the Moon card showing up in the upright. This is going to be the foundation for everything that happens up here in the midheaven, the goal or destiny of the situation. So the Moon card here is about the way forward being unclear, not being well lit. The cycles of the moon are predictable, but the amount of light that is shed on certain situations with that reflected light of the moon is inconstant. And so sometimes it's much darker, especially at the time of the new moon. There's barely any light at night, unless you live in LA, and then there's so much light pollution that it's never really dark. But the point being that right now for you, Capricorn, a lot of things are kind of unclear as far as the path forward is concerned. From your perspective, we do have a very Capricornian card here with the Queen of Pentacles, and she's showing up reversed. So maybe you feel a little bit off your game as far as making money is concerned. Maybe normally you're very good at making money, and recently, and with the way that the closure has come in to this situation, like maybe this money is coming in, but you know that there's not going to be more money coming in because the situation is ending. And so you're kind of feeling like you're at a loss, perhaps, where more money will be coming from. People around you see you making a positive change in your life. That would be the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is pure air, active energy. And it represents you being proactive and making a positive change in your life. So the people around you see this. You might not even see it about yourself, especially if things are very unclear and kind of obfuscated at this time. Here in the future, there is going to be a resolution to something. The Eight of Wands, here in the upright. This is a neat and tidy ending package that all the loose ends get wrapped up in a nice little bow. Everything is resolved. And everyone moves forward to the next thing. Here in your hopes and fears. Keep hitting the mic, I'm sorry. We have the High Priestess in the reverse. You could be afraid that you don't have enough information. And remember that the High Priestess is heavily influenced by lunar energy. This is the card of the moon in the major arcana. And the moon card is actually associated with the astrological sign of Pisces. So maybe you have Pisces in your chart. Especially if you're somebody who is like Capricorn, Pisces, and Libra as your big three in whatever order. So because things are unclear at this time, you might think that you're not able to see things the way that you would like to be able to see them, to have that information. And this card is in opposition to that Queen of Pentacles in the place of your self-image in the current situation. So we have two energies that are depicted as being passive here. I'm not strictly one for gender per se, but everything in the tarot has a significance, including gender. So I prefer to call it kind of like a passive energy. Additionally, both of these cards are associated with the element of water. So the queens are water energy, and then the Queen of Pentacles is water of earth. And through her association with lunar energy, the High Priestess is also associated with water. And you can see that kind of depicted here in her flowing robes. Now, you are taking action. People see that about you. But you might be feeling too passive. You might be feeling like you're not able to be as active in the situation as you would like to be. But it's important for you to wait for these endings to unfold, Capricorn. You've got some big ending energy. And I think on the other side of that, things will be much more clear. Here in the midheaven, so this is going to be the result of everything being very unclear in the current situation. We have the Queen of Swords, and she's showing up in the reverse. So this Queen of Swords can be a very ruthless energy when she shows up in the reverse. Can be somebody who uses legal documentation to swindle people, although that is much more like the King of Swords in the reverse would definitely be somebody who is using legal means to defraud people. But here with the Queen of Swords in the reverse, remember the queens are water energy. So that's a passive element and also has to do with our emotional states. So this is somebody who's like very conniving and possibly acting from their baser emotions rather than coming from a place of logic, like this is going to get me more money, or this is going to take all of these resources that belong to all these other people and allocate them to me. Like not thinking of it in as objective a sense, but really coming from that baser emotion feeling and being very conniving and kind of wicked. This would be like the Wicked Queen type energy here with the Queen of Swords in the reverse. It also indicates that someone is not speaking their truth or defending their truth. And because things are very unclear in the current situation, it could be that you don't feel like you know what the truth is and thus are afraid to put it out there. Now, that Queen of Swords doesn't necessarily mean that's your energy, Capricorn. That could be somebody you're dealing with. And it could be somebody who's taking advantage of an unclear situation. But the potential is there also for you to speak your truth. So if that's what ends up happening and somebody steps in and tries to take advantage of that situation, it's important for you to speak your truth. Here in the final outcome, we do have the Four of Swords showing up in the upright. And as you guys know, because I'm an ASMR channel, I like to call this the nap time card. It means it's time for you to go take a nap. It's time for you to get some rest and rejuvenation. However, you best replenish your energy stores, Capricorn. I invite you to take part in that at this time. And that is in opposition to how others are perceiving you at this time. Like the Ace of Swords here is literally doing the most. So where that card is showing up in the upright, maybe it's time for you to relax and just kind of enjoy what's going on around you. Not really worry about it too much. Let these endings come through and allow the next cycle to unfold naturally. Thank you, 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 thank you to all of my viewers. You are so greatly appreciated. Thank you to all of you who tune in for the live stream. Thank you to those of you who watch the videos later. Remember, the timestamps are always going to be in the description. I'm going to go now over to the members side of the channel and do the crystals crying. watching. You are so appreciated. And I look forward to seeing you again